When it comes to video games, it's really difficult to keep secrets hidden from players, but developers, as crafty as they are, somehow manage it anyway, encouraging us to scour every nook and cranny for things that we might have missed. Today though, we're talking specifically about villains who were introduced before they formally received a grand introductory cutscene. I'm Josh from WhatCulture.com, and these are 8 video game villains secretly introduced way earlier than you realise. Number 8, VERGIL, Devil May Cry. It's fair to say that Capcom didn't exactly have a 5-year plan when it came to making the first Devil May Cry. It was originally supposed to be a Resident Evil sequel, before becoming so action-focused that it was decided the project should be carved off and served up as a brand new IP. While that was certainly the best decision, it's meant that DMC's story was pretty much just a vague sketch that future games would fill in more substantially. Case in point, VERGIL, or as he's known in the first title, Nilo Angelo. While it is hinted here that Angelo is Dante's brother and he is called by his real name once or twice, this information is easily overlooked or forgotten entirely while playing. The fact that the narrative thread isn't expanded upon until Devil May Cry 3 as well certainly doesn't help matters. These siblings' rivalry is such a huge part of future games, especially 3 and 5, that it feels so strange to have it be barely even mentioned in this first title. In fact, you'd be forgiven for not knowing that Nilo Angelo was VERGIL at all. Number 7. The Astronaut, RETURNAL. RETURNAL's plot is so abstract and vague that even after playing the game for tens of hours and getting the Platinum Trophy, the true nature of the creepy astronaut who shows up from time to time is still difficult to grasp. What most players will know is this. The astronaut makes their presence known whenever protagonist Celine enters her house, encountering flashbacks that end with the spacesuit-wearing menace confronting her and taking her back to the planet. It becomes quite a haunting presence, in all honesty, and takes center stage in Returnal's best horror-inspired sequences. What makes it even creepier though is that the astronaut is actually always watching you in the game, even before you come face to face with it for the first time in the house. As picked up by players on Reddit after launch, the astronaut can be spotted observing you from vantage points across the different biomes, not doing anything, just watching. What a freak. Number 6. The Leviathan, Mass Effect. Now this one needs a little explaining. The Leviathan DLC for Mass Effect 3 finally revealed concrete details about the series' ultimate villain, the Reapers. With these lobster machines being tens of thousands years old and shrouded in secrecy though, the player and Commander Shepard couldn't just get this information from anyone. Instead, they had to track down beings not of the current solar system cycle, beings known as Leviathans. As the creators of the Reapers, only a few remain, hiding in the far reaches of space. They'll do anything to keep it that way too, brainwashing and killing anyone who threatens to uncover their secrets and subsequently alert the Reapers to their presence. They're initially the antagonists of the DLC, throwing plenty of obstacles in your way, but you do eventually convince them to join your side to destroy a common threat. Make no mistake though, they have absolutely no respect for humanity, and in any other situation would seek to dominate and control their minds like they did civilizations centuries prior. Despite being so mysterious though, the story of the Leviathans is actually teased all the way back in Mass Effect 1, when scanning Jatar and reading its description. Here you'll learn about the remains of a Reaper that's been dubbed the Leviathan of Dis. The mystery of exactly what was able to kill this Reaper and what the Leviathan name came from was kicked off here, and eventually answered in ME3's DLC. Number 5. CLAYFACE, Batman Arkham City. The Batman Arkham games for a time were the peak of video game secrets. These densely packed superhero capers boasted such an astonishing attention to detail that players are to this day still uncovering hidden rooms and Easter eggs. Even better, some of these actually held a narrative importance. For instance, the second game, Batman Arkham City, pivots in its climax on a twist that reveals the sick Joker was actually in a much worse state than he was letting on. In fact, the real Joker is close to death, and the one you've been interacting with for much of the game has actually been CLAYFACE in disguise. The Clown Prince of Crime has needed a stand-in to appear strong to Batman, his own men, and the other mob bosses vying for slices of the city, and he picked this shapeshifter to do that job. It's a great twist, but it's one you can actually clock long before CLAYFACE is unveiled proper by jumping into detective mode. Here, if you view the Joker with X-ray vision, you'll notice that he doesn't have a skeleton, just like CLAYFACE. It's not a bug or a glitch or anything like that, but rather a confirmation that this person isn't who he says he is. Number 4. Dr. Octopus, Spider-Man. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Josh, Doc Ock is in Marvel Spider-Man pretty much from the opening scene onwards, so how could he have appeared way before he was actually introduced? And to that I say, that wasn't Doc Ock, that was Otto Octavius. See, Insomniac's game pulls a surprisingly effective play with this character. Even casual fans going in will be expecting Otto to turn on them at some point. The magic is the developers convince you that this time things will be different, in that he won't transform into a supervillain, at least not in this game. They accomplish this by making Otto a kind and gentle man who helps Peter through the vast majority of the story. And after a while you believe that he's being sincere and isn't part of the wider criminal plot. Of course, this doesn't turn out to be true, and Doc Ock is revealed as the final boss of the game. His transformation and involvement in the plot though can be glimpsed earlier than this twist, as the whiteboard in his lab shows a map of the Raft prison facility and its many security weaknesses that are exploited when he breaks out a bunch of supervillains from there later on in the game. Number 3, G-Man Half-Life. The G-Man is a bit of a creep. Nobody really knows what his motivations are, his powers are seemingly limitless, he's always showing up when you least expect him to, and hell, it's not even clear what his real name is. Of course, this is the whole point. G-Man being a being that defies time and space and is intentionally kept in the shadows adds to the mythology of the Half-Life games in a major way, and his appearances are supposed to be met with a sense of caution as much as curiosity. Before you fully know his role in the series though, G-Man shows up now and again in Half-Life 1, ominously observing you as you shoot your way through the Black Mesa facility. While a lot of these appearances are pretty obvious, you might not have noticed that he's actually present in the game's opening as you take the tram into the facility. At one point you'll be able to see him across from you on an adjacent tram holding his briefcase. Now on your first playthrough this might just look like a random businessman also on his way to work that you forget about instantly. But on a replay, it's undeniably the ominous visage of the G-Man. Number 2, The Moon, Dead Space 3. As the old saying goes, that's no moon, and if it was good enough for Star Wars, then it was certainly good enough for Dead Space. After battling through a wide variety of gruesome necromorphs across 3 games, the trilogy ended by having Isaac Clarke and his dodgy mate fight the biggest freak that they ever encountered. And that's because it turns out that the half-destroyed moon orbiting above the planet they're on isn't a moon at all, but actually a giant necromorph that travels through space and spreads the alien scourge throughout the galaxy. Fortunately for Isaac, its transformation wasn't completed, hence its deformed shape. Of course, the moon itself is viewed an hour or so into the game, as Isaac and his crew arrive in the atmosphere around the planet. You get a quick glimpse that lasts just a couple of seconds, with the alien's finer details shrouded in the darkness of space. Little did you know though what you were seeing way back when. Number 1, SOLIDUS Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. The Metal Gear Solid franchise is of course filled to bursting with mad twists and reveals that fans are still processing decades after the fact. Living up to this reputation, bombastic sequel Metal Gear Solid 2 got the ball running with a few major reveals at the start. That the villain was a third big boss clone called Solidus, and that he was also previously the President of the United States. Of course, the President is mentioned in the first game as well, known then as George Sears, a detail casual fans may have already missed going into the second title. Solidus's real introduction, name and all, is the subject of this entry though, as the villain was actually revealed in the stinger of MGS's post-credit sequence. Here, if you saved Merrill at the end, Ocelot is heard speaking to the President, who he refers to as Solidus a single time. The fact that the stinger is tucked into a post-credit sequence and is dependent on which ending you get means that plenty of fans totally missed it the first time around, and were not at all prepared for Solidus's grand unveiling in the sequel. So that's our list. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Did you catch these earlier introductions of these characters, and are there any cool ones that I missed off here? While you're down there as well, could you please give us a like, share, subscribe, and head over to WhatCulture.com for more lists and news like this every single day. Even if you don't though, I've been Josh, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.